Welcome, folks, to our podcast, Therapy on a Tangent. I'm Zori with my co-host, Natalie. Say hi, Natalie.
Hello.
And this is a podcast where two therapists nerd out about our geeky passions and mental health.
And we are recording together for the first time from my tea table.
Woo! It's really comfy.
Yeah, and shout out to Jon Jeung LLC. If you ever need any DJ or other media service needs, you can hit him up. The details are in the description below, so check that out.
Yeah, and Natalie, this is so cool. I almost forgot what you look like in person because we've just been meeting so much virtually. So it's been a while. This is season 3 of our podcast. I guess before we just kind of jump into it, what have you been doing over the last 6 months? Why did you leave me alone? The viewers want to know.
Ooh, well, you must know, viewers, and Zori knows. I had a baby, so it's been a time. So yeah, a lot of what I've been doing is figuring out how do you keep a baby alive. I feel like lots of people talk about it, but doesn't really talk about the full details of it. So it's kind of like figuring it out as we go along. So that's what parenting is right now. Learning how to keep a baby alive. But baby is 8 months old now and doing great. So we're surviving.
Yeah, and baby's super cute. I have baby viewing privileges. Y'all don't. But baby's healthy, you're healthy, and that's all I can ask for. And yeah, you had your baby, a whole human, over the last few months. I moved again over the last few months. New job. I think it's better, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, why don't we just hop into our regular question, Natalie? What have you been learning about recently?
Yeah, so unfortunately, having a baby in the house means I get to game a lot less, which I'm kind of sad about, but it's opened doors for like new things to try, new things that slower pace, and pretty much staying at home and not going anywhere. But I've been really crafty lately, so I've tried sewing and crocheting, just kind of to do like DIY baby stuff, because baby stuff are expensive. You don't know, it is so expensive. So like, yeah, I could sew a blanket. Like, how hard is it? It's, you know, you cut out a square, you sew the edges. Like, you know, I could do that myself.
Nice little side hustle.
Yeah, right. I don't need to spend $30 on a blanket. So that's what I've been doing. I also started learning how to use a laser cutter and engraver. Our local library has like this really cool like maker studio suite. And
I feel like I should be scared.
Well, you know, this is still going on that same track of like, you know, I had a baby and stuff's expensive, and I'm like, why buy stuff when I can make stuff? Mm-hmm. All I have to do is learn all these new skills, so I'm just learning new like crafting skills basically. But the laser cutter is cool because I'm learning how to like cut stuff and then like figure out how to piece it together so it makes things. So it's like a whole new world for me.
Yeah, support your local libraries, folks.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did not have a baby, so I have not been crafty. Apparently, having a baby equals crafty. So yeah, not crafty. I've been just, you know, living my best video game girly life. Been really into Tiny Bookshop lately. It's this cute little comfy video game. I've been stressed a lot recently because of a variety of different things. New job, moving, other things, and it's just been like a nice cozy little thing, similar to Stardew Valley in the sense of it's very comfy, very cozy. You can just get into the flow of things in the game, but I really like it because it has you as a bookshop person recommending books to other people, to people in the virtual community, and a lot of the books are real. So also I've been kind of noting down some books that I want to read myself. And I guess that's another thing. I've been reading a lot more books lately.
Oh, okay. Like actual books, not like digital books.
Yeah, actual books. I don't know, something about digital books, I just, whatever. I will admit, I have been using audiobooks sometimes too. But yeah, I've been trying to read a lot more books for fun, because as an academic, it can be so hard to not read anything other than what I need to read for either work or for my research. But I've been trying to read more books for fun. My goal for 2026 is to read 2 books for fun every month. So, yeah, we're going to see if I can do that. But yeah, so Tiny Bookshop and actual books. Who knows? I may quit being a counselor and become a Tiny Bookshop owner.
Or a librarian, you know.
Live the dream.
The librarian life.
Living the librarian life. But yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm just so excited that we're here today. And for our first episode of the season of the year is something that we both really enjoy, something that we both really like, and that is Studio Ghibli, but more specifically movies by Hayao Miyazaki. And if you haven't heard who Hayao Miyazaki is or what Studio Ghibli is, Studio Ghibli is the production company of a lot of animated movies, and one of their top creators, top directors is Hayao Miyazaki. And we both kind of grew up on Miyazaki movies.
At least we went through, I think, our probably like pre-adolescent, adolescent years.
Yeah.
Of Miyazaki movies.
Yeah. Do you remember what was your first Miyazaki movie?
Oh my gosh. I think it was Spirited Away. Actually, hold on. I think before I knew it was part of like Miyazaki movies of Studio Ghibli, I think I might have watched The Cat Returns. I don't even know if people know what that is.
I love that one.
But it's very whimsical, and I think that's what I really enjoyed about it. Back when I was a pre-adolescent, it was just like fed into like all the whimsy that I had, the appreciation for like the magical things in life. You know, things that like slowly start to fade when you become an adult and reality sets in. Yeah.
I think, I can't be for sure. I know the first movie that I bought of a Studio Ghibli movie was Spirited Away.
Okay.
But I think because they used to show these movies on Cartoon Network. R.I.P. Well, I don't think it's dead, but it feels dead. Anyway, Toonami. But I think it was Kiki's Delivery Service.
Oh, yeah.
And or Princess Mononoke. But of course, because it was like late 90s, early 2000s, it was the watered down version for some parts. So it wasn't until later where I actually saw the full movie of it. But yeah, either Kiki's Delivery Service or Princess Mononoke, both which are like classic, I would say, starter Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki movies.
Right. I do want to say though, I think Spirited Away was probably when like Studio Ghibli really became known. Because I think that was also the first movie that I owned from Studio Ghibli too. It
was the first, same. Also, and I remember distinctly buying it when I was at Walmart from when I was visiting family in Mississippi. I think I remember that because I don't remember anything else positive about that trip, but I remember that. And also, I think Spirited Away was one of the first Miyazaki Studio Ghibli movies that won so many awards as well. Yeah. So I think overall, that's why it's so well known. But yeah, I guess for this episode, I just want to talk about more about our connection with these movies, how we feel nostalgic, how we feel like we related to these movies as kids, as pre-adolescents, as you said, and also as now, because we were talking earlier, we chit-chat because again, we are actually friends. And I know we were both sharing about how for some of the movies, how we view them as kids are very different from how we view them as now as adults. And even for you were saying one of the movies, you kind of view it differently as a mom too. So I think that would be really cool if we could just kind of talk about our experiences with that and just see where the tangent leads us.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know how many people rewatch movies as an adult and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, did I actually watch this movie as a kid? Because I got hit with that so many times when I was like just rewatching some of these movies. Because I was seeing scenes and I was just like, I don't remember any of these things. And then definitely like the feels too. I was like, wait, I didn't realize this movie was so deep. And then I don't know if it's like as a kid you're kind of in the shoes of like the main characters and that's why you don't see it. Because most of the main characters in Miyazaki movies are like 13-ish, so again in that pre-adolescent age that we had watched those movies. So I wonder if it's just like being in that mindset of the main characters, you don't see like the deep themes as like when you're an adult or like just having that life experience. Then you start seeing like, oh wait, this is about more than just like cute animals or like this fairy tale in the sky and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like to a certain extent, and this is more than, because at one point Studio Ghibli movies was like partially owned or partly in like cooperation with Disney. But it does kind of remind me of like Disney movies where like as a child I'm watching it and having a good time, but then like Mulan, remembering as an adult like your son grew up to be a crossdresser and be like, oh, I know what that means now. And I feel like on similar but on a different level, Studio Ghibli movies are kind of like that, where it's just like, oh, like there's more depth to it than I initially thought. So I think since Spirited Away was kind of both of our first known intro, I think we could talk a little bit about that maybe. So like Spirited Away focuses on like this really young girl. Essentially at the beginning she was like a brat, and she's moving to like a new place with her family. They stop at this like creepy old haunted abandoned like amusement park, and one thing leads to another. This movie has been out since like 2008, so if you have not seen it, spoilers warning, I guess. But one thing leads to another. Her parents turn into pigs, and she has to figure out how to help her parents get out and how to escape from this place while also living in this bathhouse. That's the word. With a whole bunch of spirits, and this kid who is kind of a help, but also kind of sus a little bit as well. Haku.
Stranger Danger.
Yeah, Stranger Danger. But Haku, side note, Haku was voiced by the same voice actor in the English version as like Max and basically all of my animated crushes. So shout out to Jason Marsden, I think, or something like that. You were the voice of many of my animated crush. But anyway, in that movie, we see Chihiro grow. We see her learn to be more confident in herself, to speak up more. And definitely, I remember as a kid just being like, wow, this is scary. And I think the biggest thing I took away from that movie as a kid was like, can I hold my breath crossing a bridge? Like every time that scene, there's a scene where she has to hold her breath crossing a bridge, and every time that scene comes on, I hold my breath, and I can never do it. But I think that was the biggest takeaway as a kid. But now I'm like, okay, no, like she was in this situation, may not have wanted to be in this situation, but she did the best that she could. She made friends. She was kind. Even though at the beginning she was still like a brat, she made mistakes, but she grew and she took ownership from those mistakes.
Right. What do you think like your impression was what was your impression of Spirited Away as a kid versus as an adult now? Because I think like when I watched it, my impression was like, oh, this is such a cool movie. Like there's so many like magical elements. Like the spirit world was just like such a cool concept, and to have like those visuals. So it's very much like visual driven, like, oh, this is such a pretty movie. Like the graphics are cool, the food looks good, and I'm not paying attention to like the fine details of going in there. So I just thought like as a kid it was like a cool movie. Like what was your impression?
So honestly, and this may be because I watched it in like a dark room with no lights with my mom. My mom doesn't like having lights on when we watch movies. So it was scary, honestly. So I think that's one of the biggest impressions that I had. It's scary. And then also I was like, see, this is why Black people don't go into haunted spaces. You get spirited away. See, even the Japanese culture understands that. Yeah, I think I took that away, and I do remember thinking, like, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could be that brave if I was in that situation.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting that you thought that, because I think my impression as a kid, I was just like, why is she being so stupid? Like, clearly, you just do this and that, and then things will be fine if you just listen to directions. Like, maybe that was part of, like, me being, like, I don't know, goody two-shoes in school and stuff. Like, listen to your teachers. Like, they told you exactly what to do. Why didn't you do it? You wouldn't be in this trouble if you just, like, did the things you were told. Like, just hold your breath, you know. Like, don't break any of the rules, and it's fine.
See, I felt that way about the parents. I was like, see, this is what happens when you eat food that you didn't pay for. It was like, daddy has this, like, credit card, blah, 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 blah. And maybe that's also where some of my daddy issues. I was like, see, can't trust a man, even as a little kid. But like, I I'm human. I have daddy issues. Anyway, but yeah, I think I felt that way about the parents. And I was like, look, you are adults and you're supposed to be protecting your child. And I mean, I think I still feel that way as an adult now, but like even more so, I think I have more, I have more respect for Chihiro, and I still don't think I could do it now.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting to think about too, like the different parts that resonate, because like you're stuck on like the parents making mistakes, but I'm stuck on like Chihiro making mistakes. But I think that's also reflective of like my childhood as well. So I'm a second generation Chinese American, and so like I grew up like helping my parents do stuff just because there's like a cultural barrier and there's a language barrier with like my mom, and so like I just grew up like being kind of independent, like trying to help take care of my parents, take care of my siblings, other family members, things like that. And so like I think that's just like what I zoomed in on, where I was just like, come on, like get it together. You gotta save your family. Like it's not that hard, you know. But that's just like the mindset that I was in when I was with that age as well, where it's like you have to be independent. Like yeah, stuff is hard, but you gotta do it because life's gotta move on. And so, like, that's what I was really stuck on.
Yeah, I will. Okay, now that you say that, slightly different, but I do remember thinking there's a scene where she's supposed to be helping other people, like, clean up, and they're, like, mopping by, like, pushing. I remember being like, this girl doesn't know how to clean. She is 8-year-old, and she don't know how to clean? Does she not know how to do her laundry? Because at 8, my mom started having me do laundry and started having me, like, at least, like, clean the bathroom and stuff like that. So I was just... So even now... I have some friends who they're like, yeah, I never did my own little laundry until college. I was just like, people are different. You can't judge people. Don't judge people. I'm judging you. So I do remember thinking that, where I was just like, girl, you need to get your life together.
Yeah, but like when you do think about it, it is a scary situation because it's like you're 8 and then all of a sudden your parents are pigs and now you gotta work. That's like maybe the part that like you miss as a child. It's like she's 8 years old and she had to work. Yeah. And her parents weren't around, and that's a scary situation.
Yeah. So yeah, just also side note, if that was my mom, I would not be able, I'd be like, I don't, because she only saw her parents once as pigs, so I'd just be like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry, mama, you gonna be a pig.
Yeah, I was like that test where you gotta remember which one was your parents. Like, I would not know.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, I guess I'm gonna be living in this bathhouse for forever.
Yeah, right. My memory as like an 8-year-old, like selective memory, like the most unimportant things I remember. The important things, no idea.
I know, and like now in our 30s, that
same thing.
It's kind of worse. But yeah, I think again, even as a kid and now, one thing about Spirited Away, I guess, is that dedication, that hard work, that kindness, even in situations where, I said that at the beginning, Chihiro kind of felt like a brat, and, but, like, still, she was put in a situation where, like, she didn't ask for this. She didn't expect this to happen. Technically, it didn't happen because of anything that she did. Because at the beginning, she was just like, hey, I don't feel safe here. Let's go. Yeah. Which is even more reason why if I ever have a kid, I'll be like, yeah, you don't feel safe? Okay, that's good enough for me. But, yeah, I think one takeaway from that movie is, like, even during the hard things, that you can still persevere with kindness. Trusting on friendships, relationships, and stuff like that, community. Because even in the spirit world, she had a community, and I think that's really cool to think about, and something that now as an adult I think about as a really cool message from the film that I don't really think I thought so much of as a kid.
Yeah, I think that's something I appreciated too as an adult, just like seeing Chihiro grow as like a person throughout the movie, just because like in the beginning, like I had that same impression of like, wow, she's a spoiled brat. Like she's never done these things in her life and stuff like that, but like you really see her kind of like grow in courage, and I think that was the big thing that I saw too. Is just like she was a scaredy cat. She didn't want to walk through that tunnel because it was scary, which fair, right? It's a dark tunnel. You had never been in this town before. You don't know what's there, right? So she was a scaredy cat, but then at the end you watch her do like all these like brave things just to like save her parents, to protect her friends that she made there, and like she actually developed like those life, I guess what we call life skills, in order for her to just like survive in a difficult situation. Like she really built up her resilience and she had grit getting through all those things. So I feel like as an adult, that's what I really appreciate, just watching that character development of like you forget that she's 8 years old, right? And she learned how to do these things as an 8-year-old.
Yeah. So yeah, Spirited Away, good movie. Always suggest it as like the primer movie for Studio Ghibli. Another, speaking of like differences in terms of younger versus us now, Howl's Moving Castle. I think we were both talking about the main character, Sophie, how we relate to her so much more as adults. Before we get into that, do you mind just giving a little summary about what Howl's Moving Castle is about?
Yeah, so Howl's Moving Castle follows this little girl named Sophie. And she lives in this town where she is the daughter of a hat maker. And so you see kind of in the movie that like she's kind of like a plain dressed girl. Like she's not very like...
Very wallflower.
Yeah, very wallflower. She's not like doing anything to stick out. Even like in the way that she dresses, her personality. Like she's just very like... shy isn't quite the word, but she's not trying to get anyone's attention, you know? And it's very different from like the other women or girls that you see in the movie where they're like wearing these like flowy dresses and big hats
and makeup.
Yeah, makeup and stuff like that. So, you know, she's kind of shy and she's not really like confident in herself. But then she encounters this witch, and then the witch puts a spell on her that turns her old, and then she kind of goes on a journey to kind of break the spell. That's where she meets Howl in his moving castle and all the other magical things that's there. Like there's a flame, Calcifer, and then there's a little boy, Marco, yeah. And so then she ends up just being kind of like the housemaid, in hopes that like Howl, who's like another magician, can help her break this curse. But part of the curse is like she can't talk about it.
Yeah.
So she can't exactly explicitly ask for help. So she's also trying to figure out like how do I break this curse, and you know at the same time like she's building lots of friendships with like Howl and the people who reside in Howl's castle and things like that. And eventually she does break the curse. And yeah, we see a lot of growth in her too, just about like the way that she views herself, her identity. Something that you notice partway through the movie that I think is very subtle that I actually missed as a kid was that there are moments where she becomes the younger version of her, but then she'll revert back to an older version.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say there's like 3 distinct shifts, like old, very old woman Sophie, like middle-aged Sophie, and then her younger version. And I also didn't realize that until like another rewatch when I was younger.
Right, and even as an adult too, like rewatching it, it took a long time to kind of figure out like what is the pattern? Like when does she turn into what age version of herself? And I think it's tied to her confidence and like how she views herself. Because when she wasn't feeling beautiful and pretty, like she was very down on herself. And that's when she was like the older woman, like very old.
Yeah. And I think as a kid, because I remember watching this again with my mom, and I remember my mom saying, oh, maybe it's because she's like more confident the times where we see her getting younger. But I just remember being like, confident? She's not confident because she still had, it was very quiet, very subtle. And I think, at least for me, growing up in a generation, in a time where confidence was shown as like, yeah, take action, kick butt, you know, especially for like girls, this very like loud, extroverted confidence, it was hard for me, even as someone who, even from a very young age, maybe I didn't know the term, but knew that I was introverted. And so it was very hard to understand that there is such a thing as like quiet, subtle confidence.
Right.
And I think that wasn't something that I really realized and really appreciated about Sophie until I got older. Because for the longest time, I thought Howl was cool. I thought Casper was cool. I thought the moving castle was cool. But I was just like, Sophie's doing nothing for me. And it wasn't until maybe when we were both in our master's program, where I started to be like, okay, I see it, I understand. I'm starting to relate with Sophie in a way, and I think that's also just because of like my own experience as an adult as well, and getting older. And maybe that's why it was so hard to tell the difference between the different versions of Sophie until she got like really young, because I feel like when we're young, everyone older than us looks like an old person. And now we're the olds.
Yeah, and even thinking about like the confidence that she developed too, it was like confident. Like I think her as a person didn't actually change all that much. Like her personality, her skills and abilities, nothing changed. Which is maybe why as a kid you were just kind of like, Sophie's kind of meh. Nothing really happened. But when you like really look at it, like she actually became very confident in who she was, like how she was in existence. And I think that's something that I appreciate as an adult, because that's a really hard thing to do in like developmental life stage things. Like I feel like as a young adult, that's where you're really trying to figure that out. Like, how do I be confident in myself as a person? Yeah. And not have to be like boastful about it. Because I think when we're kids, that's probably what we're thinking about. That like we have to be loud with our confidence. We have to talk about our accomplishments in a way where like it feels grand. But that's not always what confidence has to look like. It could just be like being comfortable in yourself, being able to believe in yourself. And I think that's what we saw with Sophie throughout the movie. Like she was learning how to just like be confident and comfortable in her own skin, which is what helped her go back to like that young version of her. Yeah. And I think something that I remember from the beginning, especially when even before she was turned to an old woman, was this like constant comparing herself. Even she was visiting her sister, who was like, wears flashier clothing, wears more makeup. We can tell in the scene that like a lot of men are interested in her because they're trying to always get her attention. Nettie, I believe is her sister's name. And Sophie keeps saying, well, because Nettie has this concern that her sister will get eaten by the wizard Hal, because there's this like rumors that Hal eats the hearts of young women, pretty young women. And her sister is just like, be careful, that could you could meet Hal and he'll eat your heart. And Sophie's just like, no, he only eats the souls of pretty young women. And I don't think she says like, I'm not pretty, but I think it's definitely alluded to, like that Sophie doesn't think that she's pretty. And I think it's so interesting because I think at the beginning we kind of see things from Sophie's point of view, and I wonder if things were from her sister's point of view, if all the men who were like trying to get her sister's attention, if maybe they weren't as obvious about it, if that makes sense. If maybe there were some men who were trying to get Sophie's attention as well. Because, yeah, I mean, even at the beginning, Sophie isn't not pretty. It's just, again, that wallflower personality, that like kind of closing in on herself. Yeah, so I think it wasn't until later where I appreciated Sophie more. And then also later in life where I'm like, I feel you, Sophie. I'm tired. Right. Like, let me take a nap. Yeah, like the things that she, I think, enjoyed doing as a wallflower, I think you could probably categorize that as like old people stuff. Yeah. Like, I like being subtle and cleaning and just keeping to myself and things like that. And like, that's just part of her personality. And that's totally fine. But like, when you're that age, I think you equate that to like, oh, that's old people stuff. Old people like to just sit around. Yeah, and now I got like a Roomba, and like I was so excited when I got that. I was like, look at this Roomba! When they heard do a sweeper! So excited! And I know for a fact, adolescent me would just be like, what the fudge? Like, why are you getting excited over a Roomba? I'm just like, you don't understand, clean. So. Yeah, for our younger viewers, you're going to get to an age where you get so excited about, like, new cleaning technology. New cleaning technology, kitchen technology. Like, my friend, he just got one of those Ninja Bullet smoothie things. And we've been talking about that, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And yeah, so. I keep talking to my husband about, like, this vacuum cleaner that will suck up, like, spills and stuff. And I'm just like, it is such a nice vacuum, but it's so expensive. But it's like, this is what I get excited about now in my adulthood. Like, I'm excited about vacuum cleaners.
Excited about vacuum. Excited about cleaning. So, yeah, we're at the age.
But I think that's what makes it relatable as, like, an adult, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, Sophie, I'm sure I was like this as a kid, too. Like, I was also excited about things being clean and neat and stuff. But, like, those are things that kids weren't interested in. Or at least at least that's what was perceived, right? Like, no kid is excited to get their first broom or their first, like, vacuum, right? But, like, as an adult now, I'm just like, okay, I kind of get it. I think, like, these are things that I was excited about as a kid that I felt like I couldn't be excited about because everyone would just think I'm being an old lady about it.
Yeah, like staying home. Like, honestly, I just wanted to stay home. But then all my friends were like, oh my gosh, let's go to Navy Pier. Oh my gosh, let's go downtown. I'm just like, no, I just want to, can we just be chill? And, like, now I feel like that's the thing that we do. Like, here we are at your house. And we're just chill, cozy under the heated table, you know? And I think that's totally fine. And I think maybe that's something, like, people in our generation are just, like, cozy. We just want to be cozy. We want to not have to. Because even at the end of the movie, at the very end, we see Sophie in, like, a slightly different outfit that she's wearing, a slightly different outfit than the outfit that she's kind of been wearing throughout. And it's still very simple, but, like, it still looks good. Like, it's just how she's carrying herself. So, Howl's Moving Castle was definitely a movie where I was just like, when I watched it as a kid, it's a very different experience from watching it now as an adult. It's honestly probably one of my favorite movies. My favorite quote is, "Here's a curse for you. May all your bacon burn." And I even have, like, a Howl's Moving Castle tattoo of the Scarecrow Radish Head.
Yeah.
And it was definitely one of those movies where I was just like, it's definitely a Miyazaki Studio Ghibli movie where it's on rotation when I have that. So, yeah. I'm trying to think of another. Oh, well, you were telling me earlier, Natalie, that for you, Ponyo, as a mom, seeing that has been different.
Yeah, so actually I didn't see Ponyo when it first came out, because I think that's one of the newer movies too, so newer and still probably like early 2000s.
I just remember in the English dub, one of the Jonas brothers, or I guess their only younger brother, voiced the boy.
Mark. Oh, yeah. So I actually didn't see that until I was an adult. But I remember when it did first come out, a lot of people were talking about, like, oh, this is such a great movie, it's so pretty, and things like that. And I just never saw it as a kid. But as an adult, it's an interesting perspective of, like, as being a parent now, what I zoom in on is, like, the parenting part of it. So basically Ponyo is, I call it, like, the Studio Ghibli version of The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it basically was, yeah.
Yeah, and so this little goldfish, Ponyo, she meets this boy and wants to become human to be with this boy. She says she loves this boy. Again, she's probably like 8 or something.
Yeah, it's a cute, pure love. It's not like
Yeah, but then you also see, like, there's her dad where he's just like, oh, don't go back up to the surface. Don't interact with the humans. Humans are bad. And if you fall in love with this boy, you'll never have your magical powers. You can never return to the ocean and stuff like that. So we're watching Ponyo trying to, like, become human, basically, and her dad, for most of the movie, was like, no, stop that, cut that out, I don't want you to become human, and stuff like that.
Single dad who works too hard.
Yeah, which is so interesting, because I guess if you look at it in that perspective, like, he was a single dad
with
like,
hundreds of kids,
and then he just has this one child that's, like, leading the rebellion, because you also see that, like, Ponyo's siblings start kind of helping her and stuff like that, and kind of going against Dad. But it was just very interesting to watch, like, part of the parenting in there is, like, Dad had to learn how to just, like, let go of Ponyo, let go of that control, let her just kind of, like, figure out what she wants with her life, make decisions for her life. Again, she's 8, though, so I do have some questions about whether or not we want to let 8-year-olds have full autonomy over their lives.
Not that full autonomy.
Not full autonomy, but, you know, trying to hear them out too, I think, is an important thing, which is
Give them appropriate options.
Yes, which I think is hard as a parent because like you want the best for them and you think with like all your life experience, you know what's best for them. But also like in my experience as like a counselor too, and like been camp counselors before, I've had kids tell me that like, yeah, but I'm not you and your experience isn't my experience, which I think is harder to hear as a parent. That like their experience isn't going to be my experience. So even though I might have something that might be wise, may not be applicable, and they may not respond the same as you, which is I think really hard to do as a parent.
Yeah. Thankfully, baby player one still can't talk much.
She can't talk about it.
She can't talk about it yet.
How that parenting is going.
Her expressions say a lot, no. But no, I'm not a mom, but I can definitely see that struggle between wanting your child to be independent, to be able to handle things by themselves, but also that fear of letting go of what will happen, that unknown that is already scary for us as adults. But then to have like a younger human being that you also have to worry about and also consider and think about how you're impacting them and influencing them, that's also really scary as well. Again, even though I don't have the same experience as you, like just hearing you now has like reconceptualized some of that for me. Even though to a certain level, I think I already knew that, but I think hearing that from you, I feel like watching Ponyo again, I'm going to be watching from that perspective. And I think because Ponyo was one of those movies where it's just, if it's on, I'll watch it. It's not necessarily one of my go-tos. Again, probably because it's like one of the newer ones. But I think it will definitely have like more of an impact on me watching it now with that in mind than like before, where I was just like, this little girl is 8 and her parents are just, again, spoilers. You should know this by now. But her parents are just letting her live with these random strangers now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I think that's like, as a parent, I was like, she's only 8. You just let her make a life decision. Yeah. I don't like that.
But again, he's a single dad or a stay-at-home dad because we don't know what the mom does. She's just a giant lady, a pretty giant lady, but pretty giant lady of the sea. But the dad is definitely at the very least a stay-at-home dad who's raising all the kids, and you can see that from the eye bags under his eyes.
It's so relatable.
Yeah. So I want to give him grace and understanding, like, I love you, Ponyo, but also if that's one less child I have to worry about.
Yeah, I could see that. But, I was also thinking about this. If I wasn't a parent, I think I would have vilified the dad.
Ooh.
And I think I would have been like, well, he just needs to let her live her life. Like she says she loves his boy, she is making these decisions for herself, she seems very confident. And I think that's like, Ponyo has like a lot of character, like a lot of personality too, like a very strong personality. So she strikes me as somebody like once she puts her mind to something, she's going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think I was a little like that as a child, too, where I was kind of stubborn, where, like, if I decided this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. And I don't care what you think. Which causes problems when you're a kid and your parents are upset about all these things you're trying to do. But, yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective shift that, like, if I was not a parent and I was seeing this through the eyes of, like, Ponyo, I would have been like, well, Dad's being the bad guy here. Because I think I also did that in The Little Mermaid, like, Dad's being the bad guy, like, he's not letting me live my life. Whereas, like, as a parent, I'm just like, he's just trying to make sure you stay out of trouble and survive and make it to the next day.
Yeah. I think they did this on purpose. At the beginning of the movie, I think they kind of did show him as, like, this potentially villain kind of the story. But, again, with Studio Ghibli movies, like, even the villains aren't always fully bad. Like, they have complexity to them.
Right. So
I feel like with the dad, I think even when I first watched it, and again, it could be also I was older when I first watched it too. I think it came out when college or around that time. I can't remember, but I do remember being like, this may not be the best thing, but like I kind of understand the dad. And maybe that's also because like, again, Ponyo was like 8, and at least at that time of my life, I'm maybe closer to like the dad's age than to, I mean, we never know. But like I said, the dad looks tired, so he could be like 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, I distinctly remember being like, as the movie going on, feeling like, okay, he just really wants the best for his child. And this is very scary, the situation that she has found herself in. And he doesn't know what's going to happen to her. He just wants to protect her and her siblings. And the fact that she's so headstrong, that again, it's like a good thing because it's independence, but it's also just like, but I can't protect you. Like, if you're not here with me, I can't protect you from everything. So I do remember having moments of being like, okay, you know, Dad's just trying his best while his giant ocean sea girlfriend, wife, mistress, whoever is just floating around living her best life, coming back around to be like, hey, my love, it's okay, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, that's something that I think was very unclear in the movie. Like, is this a co-parenting situation?
Nah, she's just like, here you go.
Like, are they separated, divorced? Are they together? Is she the breadwinner? I don't know. That was the confusing part. As, like, a parent, I was trying to figure out, like, what's mom's role here? Like, dad's out here struggling, and you're just out there, like, having fun, so what's going on here?
I feel like it's the reverse gender roles, where, like, dad is the stay-at-home dad, and mom is doing her boss, spirit, whatever thing. That's like her job. And then she comes home and just like, oh, sweetie, it'll be fine. You'll figure it out. You know, that thing that stereotypically we think of men in terms of just like, or maybe not even stereotypically, but like the men just like, oh yeah, I'm just here for the fun times. And then you have to deal with all the, the punishments.
Yeah, like you're the bad guy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Ponyo is definitely a super cute movie. That's also another like starter movie. Yeah, Spirited Away, House Moving Castle, Ponyo are definitely like within my starter movies as well.
Oh, the one we haven't talked about is My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about what My Neighbor Totoro is about?
Yeah, so My Neighbor Totoro is basically about these two sisters. I'm forgetting their names, but there's a younger sister and an older sister. And I believe their mom is sick. I don't think we're ever told exactly what she's sick of, but she's sick. She's in the hospital, and they move to this new house, and this woman next door tells them all about like the spirits of the forest next to them. And one of the spirits is Totoro. And even if you haven't seen a Studio Ghibli movie or a Miyazaki movie, you probably have seen Totoro, because Totoro is like one of Studio Ghibli's, Miyazaki's figureheads in terms of the studio. So think of a gray oval shaped thing with ears. Looks like part cat.
Yeah, I think it might be a raccoon cat thing.
Oh, is that what? Okay.
I don't know. I'm not
raccoon
sure.
Cat thing. You've probably seen her around. And yeah, essentially throughout the movie, they're both just trying to get like a present to their mom, I think. Yeah, I think that's basically the movie. And I definitely remember, again, when I watched it, I remember being in college. I watched it with a friend and just being like, these are some bad kids. Because, or especially the younger sister, because she just kept crying. But again, now, especially older, and especially after working with a lot of 3 to 6 year olds, I'm just like, she's 3, I think. Of course she's crying. She's stressed. She's not on a schedule. Her mom's away.
Yeah, dad's doing his best.
Dad's doing another single dad who works too hard. And yeah, there's definitely, I think I have more patience for the younger sister now as an adult, and especially as a therapist who works much more with 3 to 6 year olds than I did initially before those experiences as well. So I think that was like one of the major takeaways with that movie for me. Also, I think we also talked about this earlier. It's a little bit darker than people think.
It's a sad movie.
Yeah. Because I think in the movie, and correct me if I'm wrong, the mom does get better, or at least it's alluded to. But I definitely remember on one of my mini Tumblr scrolls, because yes, I'm still on Tumblr, don't try to find me. There was some discourse around, like, is mom even alive? Are the kids even alive? Because again, and this is where you kind of need to know some of the culture behind some of the movies. This idea of, like, did the two sisters get spirited away? Are they even still alive? Because there was one point where the dad and the other community leaders were just like, where are they? We can't find them. Those type of things. And I think that's definitely like a kind of a dark take. But again, because it's Studio Ghibli and because it's Miyazaki, I don't think that's the intention to have it be a dark take. But that always plays in the back of my mind. Where, like, are they really alive? Or did they die?
I think that's the question with Spirits of the Way too. Like, are they still alive? Don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, we talked about a lot of our experiences growing up with different Miyazaki movies. It was definitely fun rewatching some of them for this episode, Natalie. Anything else before we end?
No, I don't think that's it. I think if you haven't gotten a chance to watch these movies, we definitely recommend it. Especially, like, as an adult, I think you're going to appreciate some of the subtleties and the different themes in there, and we'll talk more about it in a future episode. So, yeah, try to catch some of the movies. Maybe we'll list some of our top movies that you gotta watch before you get on with the rest of your life. But, you know.
Yeah, highly recommend. But, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Therapy on a Tangent. If you liked what you listened to today, please remember on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to give us a rating and review. And if you're listening on YouTube, to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. And if there's a topic you would like to hear about in the future, either put it in the comments or email us at therapyonatangentpod@gmail.com. Again, that's therapyonatangentpod@gmail.com. I'm Zori.
I'm Natalie.
And until next time, stay on a tangent. Bye!